In 2016, I started a company called Live Bearded. So the idea was simple. I had a
You
really
wanted
good
it to
buddy.
be weird? Is that
What's
the
that?
name? How did the name come out?
Yeah. Well, at the time, beards were becoming more of a trend, and it was kind of the cool kid thing to do. And I didn't want to build a business that was based on a trend. I wanted to go after an identity. I wanted to target a very specific demographic of people. And so, in my marketing, I had most of my success when I went after a particular identity, passion, interest, hobby. So, looking at grooming, I mean, there's only so much you can do with uh, shampoos, conditioners, body washes. It's not very sexy, right? It's just like a pretty commoditized industry. So my perspective was, how do I turn this into an identity? And then how do I speak to that identity in a unique and interesting way? And so Live Bearded just was kind of born from that idea of how do we market to a group of guys that differentiate themselves from everybody else, that kind of embody that identity. That was one part of it, and then the other part of it was like the name was available on Google and it was available on all the socials, so there was like a little bit of an art and a science to it. But um, a really good friend of mine was growing out his beard for the first time. I didn't have one. It was No Shave November, and he started getting all these compliments, and guys were saying stuff to him, and he was like, have you ever thought about maybe starting a grooming company? Like beards are becoming really popular. And he'd been a buddy of mine for 10 years at that point. So one thing led to another. We had a lot of conversations about what it might be like to work together and what we would do. And that ultimately inspired this whole idea of starting the business together and working on selling products to bearded dudes.
And you've been doing that for how long now?
Coming up on, we just celebrated our 9-year anniversary.
Wow. And how different is it compared to 9 years ago?
Man, it's
Market
entire.
wise, I know your business is different, right? I
Yeah.
mean, it's still online,
Yeah.
right? It's still
Yeah.
online.
Yeah. Yeah, it's entirely different in the sense of then the industry or the category was brand new. So it just even like looking at comments, people would be like, "This stuff is for pussies." Like the only thing I use on my beard is motor oil. You bunch of, like it was like a lot of macho men were like hating on us and talking down to us and saying it was a fad or a trend, if you will. And so there in the beginning, it was a lot about educating the market, really trying to talk to guys about how important grooming was and the different, reasons why you might want to do that. Fast forward over the years, the competitive landscape has changed tremendously. All the big players from Old Spice to Unilever to, the big guys that are legacy brands, they've all now entered the space. So competition has definitely gone way up. A lot of competing products, a lot of knockoff products, but I would say the biggest thing is it's more standardized now, right? People think of beard care just like you think of deodorant or shampoo. It's just part of the routine. So on one hand, the market has become more mature and there's less selling or convincing that you need to do. Now you just need to build trust and rapport and demonstrate why you are essentially a great company to do business with.
Yeah, because people don't realize, I mean, with the way beards are, how unsoft they are. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And there's stuff you can do. I mean, it was all new. I mean, people had no idea. I mean, beards have been around forever. And I think they go through cycles, but I see more and more now because I think the fact that you can keep them groomed and you can do everything
Hmm.
else.
Yeah, 100%. And there's little things like I have eczema, and so I've got naturally dry skin.